Hey everybody, we are live and I'm here with my new friend. I think you all know him. Carnivore Kipp. How you doing, Kipp?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm glad to talk to you because I've been watching your live streams, and you've been doing a wonderful job. And I've definitely been enjoying it. And for all of my people that are subscribers that are watching, y'all make sure y'all go check out Christy's channel at Meeting Wellness afterwards and subscribe to her channel. And
Oh,
thank you for chatting with me today.
yeah, thanks, Kipp. I appreciate that so much. I started watching you. I don't even know when, because when I first went keto and then carnivore, of course, I started with the doctors. And then I was like, wait a minute, it's not just doctors. There's like regular people with channels. And then at some point I discovered yours. And you were just so real. Like that's kind of what I put in the thumbnail, because that was the first word. Like, this guy is just real.
Mhm.
He might be doing great, he might stumble, but anyway you slice it, he just shares his story the way it is and genuine. So I just appreciate that about you so much. I was hoping that you wouldn't mind sharing your health journey, and we all know, about your weight loss journey. I'd love to hear how that's going, but also like I've heard you mention a few other like health conditions. And I haven't heard you talk a lot about those, and that could just be that I'm missing a video in there about them. But can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, of course, I mean, when I came to carnivore, it was and it was in January. It was pretty much like throwing a Hail Mary pass. It was like trying something way out of left field for me, because had been hurting for so long, and my shoulder had been hurting really, really bad, and I had this thing called sarcoidosis, and it's an autoimmune condition, and it had affected lymph nodes that were swelling up in different areas. And at one point, the doctors thought that I had cancer, and I had to get a biopsy done. I still have a scar on my neck where they had to do that, and they did like PET scans and all kind of things, and they thought that I had cancer, and it was like the most horrifying 6 weeks or 8 weeks of my life. And because I mean, I was like 28 years old at the time, and I'm thinking, man, is this really it for me? And thankfully, we ended up finding out that it was sarcoidosis, and it's a thing that you can live with. I don't know. I haven't researched it any more recently, because since I've started eating this way, I haven't had as many issues with it. But the swelling has went down in my lymph nodes, and the shoulder pain that I had for like 3 years probably has pretty much went away. And there's a except for in there, except for whenever I go off plan. When I go off plan for like a week or even 2 weeks, or honestly 3 or 4 days of going off plan, then that pain comes back in my shoulder, and it's a terrible pain. Like, you constantly move and yank on it different ways, and it's just not good. But then, of course, besides being right at 500 pounds, I had also developed type 2 diabetes, and it's kind of sad for somebody 29 years old to already be a type 2 diabetic, and then my parents are both diabetic, and it's just you're always told, well, this runs in the family, so I'm a diabetic, and one day my kids will be diabetic, and you've been told that, and you'll just have to take medication. But it wasn't until I tried this that all that was proven as a lie, because within like 4 months I reversed type 2 diabetes. And so, I mean, the sky's the limit now. There's no telling what the future holds. And I just want my daughter to grow up, and I want her to realize that, hey, regardless of what your grandparents had, or regardless of what somebody in the family had, or whatever, not everything's hereditary. If we can change our diet and live a better lifestyle, we can fix a lot of our problems.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said in January it was kind of like throwing a Hail Mary. I don't know much about sport ball, but I do know what a Hail Mary is. And what made you, I mean, did you go keto first? Did you jump right into carnivore? How did you hear about any of this? And what made you think it was a good idea?
Well, because I had tried keto before, like you said, I had probably in like 2000. I'm not good with years, but I would say like 2018 or 2017. I had been like, hey, I'm gonna try keto because I was already over 400 pounds then. I've been over 400 pounds since I was like 18 years old, and so and I'd never been under it, and so um, I was watching videos and I found out from like Thomas DeLauer and I don't know. I used to watch like Dr. Berg and a couple other people about keto, and then eventually, there were people like Dr. Barry that would go on their podcast or their and have live streams with them like we're doing now, and he would like bring up carnivore, and see, I had enjoyed keto and I had had success, but all the keto treats and stuff, it would get me every time I go to Walmart. Like I would go to Walmart and I would want to get like Rebel ice cream and stuff like that, and it would be right beside the regular ice cream, and it would make me real thing. And then I would want to eat way too much of it, and eventually I would just go off plan and go off plan. And that's why for me, I'm not saying that everybody has to do this because there's people that do keto and that's fine. If you're having success, I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade, but that's why for me, carnivore simplified things and it took all that extra, stuff and all the fake ingredients and all that stuff out of the equation because I mean it's kind of hard to make all kind of different fake meals with meat. So it simplified things and it helped me to get on a better path.
You know what seems so incredible to me is that although from the outside you and I look like we probably couldn't be more different, but but the things you're saying, that was true for me. When I was on keto, it was so easy to binge on something. Even if it was a keto thing, I would binge on it, like the pecans or the cream cheese. Not that, I mean, cream cheese can be carnivore, but if I'm going to have cream cheese now, I don't go binge on it later. Like somehow, I don't know, whatever this magic is, I don't know, but I don't crave stuff anymore. And I used to be constantly trying to stay under some kind of self control with like all this mental discipline that took up, my half my brain power all the time. And it was exhausting and it was super unhealthy on top of that.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, now that you mention it, I'm thinking it's making me think back to when I was doing keto. And I remember I used to watch a lot of videos where people would do like keto grocery hauls and they would go to like Costco and places and they would be like, well, this is keto and this is keto and this is keto. So I would tell my wife, hey, let's drive an hour and go away to go where the closest Costco was, and we would go and we get like big bags of pecans and we get like tons of like keto ice cream and all this other different stuff. And then the problem was we'd eat that stuff in like 2 or 3 days, and we were just like pouring it in because those pecans I can't have enough of them, and so it just didn't work for me. But like if I try to eat steak and I try to eat, things like that, hamburger meat, whenever I get full, I stop. Like I can't just sit there and eat hamburger meat all day long. It's not like eating keto ice cream.
Yeah, I know. I could never. Yeah, the satiety button never got pushed for me. And like you, if people are doing great on keto, good for them. I think many people can. My mom, for example, you've heard me talk about her. She's 71 years old. You want to know what she's doing now? Jump roping. I'm not kidding. She sent me a
Wow.
picture. She's like, "Here's my jump rope. I found it. I'm going to start jump roping." I was like, "Who are you?" So she's just doing fantastic. And I think some people, for whatever reason, maybe they've been had a less unhealthy relationship with food throughout their life. I don't know.
Mhm.
They're wired different, their metabolism is different, and that, can work for some people. I am just, I've seen so many of my friends in the chat. Are you okay if we go in and say hi to a few? Okay.
Absolutely. I love talking to everybody in the chat.
It's my favorite thing about lives is that the fact that we can interact with people that are hanging in with us. And so Jazzy Jude popped in and said, this will be a good one. Yeah, not wrong. This is a good one already. Rick is here, the 40-year carnivore himself.
Yeah, Rick is he's a mess. He always cracks me up with his comments.
I know. Just wait. There's a few good ones. Hey, Lindy. Lindy's here. Welcome in, Lindy. Thank you for joining us. And we've got Deb Olson saying hello. Hi, Deb. Semi-retired Bob is here. He's going live with me in just a couple of hours. So he's next. I'm very excited about that as well. So hi, Bob. Thanks for
Bob's pretty upset with me right now because my football team made it into the playoffs, and the team that he thought should have been in it didn't make it. So he's pretty mad with me right now.
Kipp, you're on the naughty list. I don't know what to tell you. Oneness is waving. Hello. Susan Hampton is here saying hello. And then Bama saying, hey, y'all. I like that. Hey, y'all. Rick would like to know who would want to eat a pecan. Rick, not you. Your ducks? I don't know. It's duck food. As Rick would say, duck food. I know when once I start on those pecans, I really do have a problem. So.
I don't even think there's a food out there that you could tempt Rick with, because anytime I've ever been off plan and been like, man, the cheesecake got me, or this got me, or whatever, he's always like, dude, how could you want that? Like, instead of a hamburger. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'm just weaker than you, Rick, because there's nothing in the world that could get him to go off plan.
Well, let me say, so the first time I ate something that wasn't, I don't know, strictly carnivore was at Thanksgiving the other day. And I did it because my aunt was so nice. She always makes the desserts for Thanksgiving, and I wasn't planning on having any. And then she went and made a keto cheesecake just for my mom and I. So the cool thing is I did have a small slice of that keto cheesecake, and it was good. But then I was done, and I didn't, then I will say the next day after dinner, I was like, that cheesecake was pretty good, but there wasn't any in the house. I didn't bring the rest home with me. She tried. I said, no, thank you. So I left it there. I don't know if my mom finished it off or what happened to that cheesecake. But it wasn't in the house, and nothing else was in the house either. And it was like a passing thought, right? It wasn't like cheesecake, and then for 3 hours, that's all I could think about, which is how it would used to be. Like I'd be sitting there like physically almost, trying to stay where I was and not head to the kitchen for whatever the craving was,
Yeah, see, me, I live in such a small town that there's not like tons of different restaurants right here to like make me want to sway one way, but or to start that mental game. But whenever I go to like a big city, dude, it's hard when I'm in a big city because I'm not there all the time, and there's all these different signs of all these restaurants that I've seen on TV, and like it made me think about like the Cheesecake Factory. I know you've heard of the Cheesecake Factory. Okay, so the closest one to my house is like 3.5 hours away. And so anytime I'm ever in an area that has like a Cheesecake Factory, immediately my brain starts saying, you have to go there because you're so far away. And so then it causes this battle. Cause like a while back I went to Atlanta, and Atlanta's like where the closest Cheesecake Factory to my house is. And literally that mental game was going and going and going, and I was just like, I'm just gonna have the cheesecake. And I lost that battle that day, but I'm not gonna lose in the end.
That's right. The last time I was at Cheesecake Factory, so I have 2 kids. They are teenagers, not like your young and adorable cute daughter. I mean, they're still adorable, but probably only I think that because I'm their mom. But I have a 15-year-old and an 18-year-old, and I'm kind of slowly, like I made some meatloaf the other day, and they loved it. And then today my son saw me getting out ground beef, and he's like, are you making meatloaf? Like he wanted that meatloaf. I was like, well, not this time, but yeah, for you, next time I will. So that was pretty cool. Anyways, I digress. For their birthday, they wanted to go to Cheesecake Factory. It was when he turned 15, my now 15-year-old. So that's where we went. I called ahead of time because I thought, I know what I'll do. I will get like the chicken Alfredo, but just like the chicken and the sauce. But when I called ahead, they're like, oh yeah, telling me all the seed oils that are in that sauce. And they don't really have control over that because it's purchased from wherever, like the base of it, they don't make it on site or whatever. The steak was too expensive. So I sat there and just drank, water. It was the first time I had done anything like that. And it was fine. I mean, I ate butter. There was butter. They had real butter. I did eat like a little slice of butter, but and drink
How
water.
far do you have to travel to go to like a cheesecake factory or something like that?
So it's only about 20 miles. So
See, it probably wouldn't be a big deal to me if it was right down the road.
yeah,
But see, since it's like 3.5 hours away, it feels like going to Disneyland. You
yes.
know what I mean? So
It
it's like, yeah, it's just hyped. I hype it up for whenever I'm in that area. I'm like, dude, I gotta stop.
yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to start some comments. There's so many. There's so many people here. It's amazing. Hi, everybody. So fun. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead back to my start comments. So, I have Mike is in the house. So hi, Mike. And I just wanted to highlight this comment. He says, I only crave meat. I can't wait for my burger press to arrive so I can make my own burger patties from 7327 ground beef. We'll be doing half pounders as opposed to quarter pound. I usually buy. Kipp, have you ever done that? Do you have a burger press?
I have a burger press, but I don't prefer to use it. And the only reason I don't prefer to use it is because I feel like a lot of times with a burger press, people press them too tight, and it makes, in my opinion, I'm not saying this is a fact, but in my opinion, it makes the hamburger meat too like the hamburger's not airy enough. I don't know, it's too mushed together or whatever, and I don't like it. So I like to just hand press it, and like, because you can overwork hamburger meat, and so I like it to be very, very loosely pressed together.
So I'm about to ask probably a dumb question, but because there are dumb questions, I'm sorry, there just are. But is the air pocket, when you leave the air pockets in there, is that because when the fat renders, it kind of gets in those spaces and then makes it good? Or like, why is that good to have air pockets in there?
It's just, you just don't want to overwork a burger. Like a lot of times when people like are trying to form their patties, they really, really work it and press it and mash it together and everything, and you really don't want to do that. You want it to be formed, but you want it to be kind of loosely formed. It'll be a better burger in the end. I don't know the science behind it, but I know that I've tried both ways, and I think it's better that way. And
Well,
hey, and Primal Mike, he I was gonna say that I don't have a like a carnivore coach or anything. I've never like paid for coaching or anything, but like he's kind of like a free coach to me, even though he doesn't know it. Because he every time I go off plan, he always scolds me in my comment section, and he chews me out and tells me everything that I'm doing wrong. So appreciate it, Mike. He has given me a hard time.
okay, well that's good. Good job. I do the opposite. I'm like, I got, I'm praying for you and I'm thinking about you and that kind of stuff. Maybe I'll start scolding you.
No, Mike, he kicks my butt.
Good job, Mike. So Deb says, I watched family members die from diabetes and lose legs and all of these things, but they were not willing to change their diets. Yeah, I've seen it too. I can't, people wondering, why I'm doing what I'm doing. They're worried about my cholesterol. They're worried about my health. And here they are, 100 pounds or more overweight with all kind of health issues. It almost just, I like it. Flummoxed. I'm flummoxed. That's a good word for it. Yeah. I mean, I've never felt better. I've lost whatever weight I did have to lose. My mental clarity is amazing. My inflammation is down. I sleep great. I'm exercising now, which I never did before. So yeah, I don't know if that just, that myth about saturated fat and cholesterol and all of that is so entrenched that they just can't get it out of their minds, or what? What do you think, Kipp?
Yeah, I mean, I see with both of my parents are, and I don't normally talk about this on a live stream, but I'm comfortable talking about it. But both of my parents are diabetic, and one of them, my mama, she takes medication. That's her route that she tries to do to make it manageable or whatever. And which I know that that's not the best route. I know that like eating this way is a way better plan than, hey, just taking a bunch of medicine. But and it worries me about her in the long run, because I know that so many people die every year from diabetes and things like that. But now when it comes to my daddy, and I think I get this from him, because he is very like, he can't stand the doctors. He never wants to go visit a doctor. He never wants to see a doctor at all, So he doesn't trust the doctors. He doesn't want to take medicine, and that part is good. Like to not want to take the medication to try to fix it yourself. But what worries me is he's not actually doing that. He's actually right now he's instead of taking the medication, he's not doing anything.
Ooh.
And by not doing anything when you have diabetes, because he told me that his A1C recently was like over 10. And with it being over 10, that's like super high.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like super high. And I'm like, okay, so look, daddy, I love you and I don't want you to take medicine, but I would rather you take the medicine than do nothing. Or I would rather you change your food habits. You got to do something. You got to do at least one or the other. You can't do nothing. And right now he's still stuck in that I'm not doing anything. And I feel like I don't want to watch him die. But what can I do? Like I can't force a grown man to change his ways. So when I was reading that comment, it was making me think sometimes I feel hopeless or you feel hopeless when you see family members that you feel like you have the answer for them and you want to tell them, and you do tell them because I tell them all the time. But like, unless they make that choice, there's really nothing that I can do except for try to be the example for them.
Yeah. Has he noticed? I mean, he has to have noticed, but has he noticed the positive changes that you've made?
Absolutely. Yeah. He notices and he's like, wow, that's crazy. But he still can't get past the fact of you're only eating meat because he's like, well, what about veggies and what about veggies? And we've had that talk a bunch of times. And I'm like, look, you're just going to have to let me do it for 3 years. And then you realize, oh, it hasn't killed him. So maybe I should try it, but I wish he would try it. And I don't know what else to say to him except for, hey, it works. It works. It works. And, I hope before it's too late, he'll try it. I really do because, I mean, to not do anything with an A1C that high, it's not good.
Yeah, absolutely. So Elizabeth is wondering, she says, does anyone else feel like the time change might have thrown us off schedule wise enough that the stress might be causing us to struggle with staying on plan? I don't enjoy a time change. Even the fallback where, you supposedly get an extra hour of sleep. I don't know if I haven't noticed as far as like struggling to stay on plan. I just know that I don't generally enjoy the time change. Every other person that I've spoken to, I mean, like in my YouTube circle, there's like, oh yeah, it just doesn't bother me. So I don't know. Kipp, do you have do you not like a time change? Does it mess with you at all?
I don't think it messes with my diet per se. I think it just messes with it. I don't like that having to go an hour forward or go an hour back. I wish they would get rid of that and just pick one and stick with that.
Yeah.
Like why do we have to keep going one way or the other? Like I think there's like one state that just leaves it alone, or maybe a couple states.
Arizona
Yeah.
leaves it alone because they're right next to me. And yeah, when you cross the border, it's like, oh, they didn't
Yeah,
change.
see, I wish that we were like that and just leave it, pick one and leave it that way and let it work itself out. Because at the end of the day, 24 hours is always going to be 24 hours. So just leave it alone.
So, just depending on how, I don't know, compliant your daughter is, what I noticed, especially as they got into their teenage years, man, when
Are both of yours boys?
Yes, I have 2 boys. So it's going to be, I'm sure, very different than your experience. But the time change messes with their, like, trying to get them ready for school when it's just dark outside, or yeah, it throws it off. It's no joke. And then, yeah, I have to be at school myself because I'm a teacher. And yeah, by the time we all get there, it's like, yeah, it's no fun. Anytime we're on the time change, trying to get a grumpy kid, especially a grumpy teenager, ready in the morning.
And it messes with her going to sleep schedule as well, because she normally goes to bed at like 8 o'clock every night, and sometimes 7:30 to 8 o'clock. But then whenever time change, she's trying to go to bed at 6:30 in the evening or 7 o'clock in the evening. And I'm like, man, that I have just got off work at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, and then you're already ready to go to sleep for the night.
Yeah.
And I want to spend time with you.
Aw, you're so cute with her too. I love those ones where your videos where you show her. So Cheryl is saying hi to the both of us. So hi, Cheryl. And then David is here. He says he's just slumming it with us. Thanks, David. Appreciate you. Rick is talking about the Cheesecake Factory close to the Dadeland Mall. Never seen anything people eat there that I would crave. Yeah, they don't have a lot of meat things in there because that's why I just ate a slice of butter and left it at that. Shorty's Barbecue. I don't know if there's any good barbecue joints. Like Southern California, we're known for our Mexican food. We are not known, and avocados. We're not known for barbecue. I did find a barbecue place close to me that's supposed to be good, but I haven't gone in and checked it out. Kipp, you just make your own barbecue, right?
Yeah, I don't care about barbecue in restaurants really. I'd rather make it at the house. I mean, there's a couple places in Texas that like if I was passing through, I would stop because I know they make it like I make it. But like most places, they don't. They take shortcuts and things like that, and I don't consider that real barbecue.
Well, yeah, I know. The people that are serious about their barbecue are serious about their barbecue. Yeah, for real.
Oh yeah, It's not a joke for sure.
No, and their recipe is the best. And yeah, no, I know it's a whole thing. I wanted to thank you. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I was like a cast iron like newbie. I knew nothing about cast iron, so I went to because you used to have cast iron like in your name, and so that was like the only. I was like, well, Kipp with this cast iron probably knows. And so I did watch a couple of your videos on how to clean my cast iron pan, and it's not so bad. And I'm loving my cast iron. Like I don't even want to make a steak in the way that I used to now that I have my cast iron pan. So thank you.
Absolutely. And see, cast iron, the only thing is cast iron takes just a little bit longer to clean it, but it's worth it. Like it's worth it for the way that it sears a steak, the way that it cooks different things. It's superior to other pans. And I haven't done any like cast iron videos in a while, and I keep saying I want to get back to it. I just haven't took the time to do it, but I really want to get back. That's one thing I want to focus on in the new year is doing more cast iron cooking and doing more barbecue videos because I've been doing a lot of carnivore stuff and like sharing my journey, and I still want to do all that. The thing is I try to fit so much in, and it's hard to do it on one channel, and I don't have the time to have two separate channels, so I just kind of pick what I can fit in there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to another cooking video from you soon with either your cast iron or your barbecue or all your cooking things.
Or I'll fire up a smoker and use cast iron at the same time.
Yeah, do that. I can do the cast iron stuff. We don't have like a smoker or anything, but if I'm ever out your way, I'll just invite myself. But
you're welcome here. You're welcome here anytime. I'm in South Alabama, but we don't got no avocado toast out here.
I don't eat the avocado or the toast anymore, but I will say I did have a little avocado and pickle yesterday with my burger when I met Nicole. It was a really good burger, and it was like a California burger, so it came with a little avocado. Pretty good. I know Rick's going to tell me it's duck food. Go ahead, Rick.
You done messed up. Rick's finna get you.
I know. So you said something about one of your goals for the new year and your channel, and I know that you have some other goals too. And I think they're pretty incredible, and I think you're pretty, you're brave for just putting that goal right out there because it might not happen, and you already told everybody that it was going to happen. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I feel like I needed a challenge for myself. Not like necessarily like a 1 month challenge that is on the channel or something. Not that those kind of little challenges won't happen throughout the year. I think it's fun to like do little things with everybody in the community and stuff. But I really want to push myself to do something hard. And so from somebody that last year was right at 500 pounds to say, hey, I want to run a 5K next year. Like for me, that just seems like something that I can't do, but I know that I can do it. I know that I actually can get to that point. It's going to take a lot of work because I'm not there right now. Like I can't even run the first mile or a half a mile straight. So to be able to get to the point where I can run, I think it's like 3.1 miles to run a 5K or something like that. To build myself up to that point next year to do it, I think it's gonna help me. It's gonna better my health and just show me that hey, whatever I set my mind to do, I can do it. So I'm excited to do that next year, to run that 5K.
That's amazing. Do you have any kind of training plan? I know you said you haven't paid for any coaching, or you just like, I know you go out and walk. I really enjoy your videos when you take your camera out with you and you walk. Are you just trying to build up from that?
Well, I think in the first quarter of next year, I really want to focus on knocking some more weight off. And of course, by walking and continuing to eat this way, I want to focus on getting a lot more weight off, because in the first half of this year, I was doing amazing. The second half of this year, and I never want to lie to anybody. So the second half of this year has been rough. There's been multiple times that I've been off plan, and I've told everybody that. Trust me, I've had people to unsubscribe. I've had people to whatever, and if they want to give up on me in a moment of weakness or whatever, then that's fine. Like I'm still gonna do this anyway, because I'm doing this for me and for my daughter and my wife, and I'm doing this for my health, to live a long life. I want to be able to walk my daughter down the aisle one day. So I'm gonna do this, and just having that goal to do something like that is gonna help my overall health. But I don't have hey, we're doing it in, like, I don't have I know there's different programs like the Couch to 5K and different stuff like that. I haven't got into any of that. I'm thinking I might start that around April, because I think if I can knock some more weight off, it will make the running even easier. Like, because I mean, you just imagine, let's say if I lose another 75 pounds, you just imagine, take 2 big old bags of dog food, or however much 75 pounds is. Imagine losing that and then trying to run. It'll be a lot easier to do it.
Or for me, picking it up and trying to run, and then that's what you must be feeling all the time. Do you notice? I mean, I can only imagine, the strain on your joints and things like that.
Oh yeah, just by losing 100 pounds, whenever the other day I was picking up dog food. Well, it's been a couple months ago now. I was picking up a big thing of dog food, because we have 2 big golden retrievers, and they eat a lot of food. So when I was toting it in the house, I was like, oh my goodness, like I lost like multiple bags of this dog food already. And when it really put it in perspective, like when you pick it up, I was like, that's crazy. And I just kind of held it in front of my stomach and was walking around, and I was like, I remember what that felt like to tote that around. And so to lose even more weight, when I picture, because I've never been small. Like, I've never been small. I've always been the big guy in the room. And, like I said, I was over 400 pounds as a 17 or 18-year-old. And so when I see small people, what I call small people, what other people call regular sized people, when I like you, when I see you, I consider you really small, but you might consider yourself like a regular sized person. But and it's just because I've always been so big. And so whenever I see people like that are out jogging and stuff, and they have like what I consider like a normal sized person or whatever, I'm just like, it must be like running on clouds, because I'm over here with all this extra weight on me, and like all that hold me back. And when I see them run, I'm just like, that just looks like it would be effortless. And so I'm going to find out. That's what I got to do. Get the weight off and find out.
That would be awesome for you to find out. We have some encouragement for you here. So One Hope for All says it is better for you, Kipp, to lose weight and then run. But yeah, encouraging you to do that.
I'm going to do a little bit of both, though. That makes some people mad. Some people are like, lose all the weight and then run. I'm like, no, because when I get in a good routine, like I start craving going for little jogs. Like I'll jog a little bit and then walk, and jog a little bit, and kind of like the little sprints like you were talking about.
Yes.
Nobody told me to do it. The first time I did it, nobody said, hey, you should do this. I just felt like doing it. So if my body tells me to do it, I'm going to just listen.
Yeah, I want to talk about that more in a minute, but I put a comment up from my friend Mike. So Mike says, I have enough issues in my own life, Kipp. Don't we all, Mike? And we're rooting you on, brother, and no judgment from me. So, yeah.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Yeah, Mike's awesome. So, yeah, the sprinting, gosh, where do I even start? I missed it when I hurt my leg. I sprinted all the month of September and into October. I had so much muscle gain from doing that, which is crazy. Like you wouldn't think that sprinting and you're going to put on muscle. But like even my husband noticed like in my arms and stuff. And then I hurt my quadricep, I think from probably overuse on the sprinting, and I haven't been able to do it, but I did pick it back up last week. So I sprinted twice last week and I sprinted this morning, and it feels good. Like I'm excited to get that back. I feel like I lost some of that, even though I was continuing to exercise. I did a push-up challenge and squats. I did planks last month. I did hula hooping. But I still feel like I lost some of the muscle definition, from the sprinting. And what I like about it is it doesn't take a lot of time. So, my friend Rhonda does it like she's on her walk, and then she'll just, like what you said, like you're walking and then you just take off for a sprint and then just go back to walking. I probably need to walk more, but I just go out in my street and just sprint. I sprint and then, and then catch my wind, and then sprint back.
Yeah, I have this little thing too called a salt bike, and that thing right there, like whenever you ride it, but like you can get going really fast, really quick. It's called a hit exercise or whatever. But you go real fast and then you stop, and you go real fast and you slow down. That thing right there will get your heart rate up like quick. And to me, it's kind of feels like whenever people are doing the sprints and then they chill out and go again, it's kind of feels a little bit like that. But I guess it's a little easier on my joints to do that some because you're riding a bike.
Well, I know Dr. Sean O'Mara, who's like the sprint guy, right? That's his thing, fat and sprinting and all of that. He does say that you can do the same type of thing with, like what you said, like with a bike. In his opinion, sprinting is the best, but with whatever, right? If it's the weather or whatever, you can still do it on something like a bike.
I would imagine. I would imagine that you can't beat the real thing. Like you can't beat going out there and moving, because when you're out there actually doing it, you're probably using more muscles and it's a more natural movement than sitting on a bike. Because I mean, years ago people didn't have bikes,
right?
So it's not like a natural movement versus doing the actual thing. But I will say that thing right there, you can in 5 minutes, that thing can almost kill you if you push yourself to the limit.
Yeah. And that is what you're supposed to do with the sprinting. You're just supposed to push yourself, whatever your limit is. So you don't have to look like some Olympian sprinter. We're not Usain Bolt over here. But it's just your limit for 10 to 20 seconds. But yeah, I've really actually enjoyed it. So going back to the time change, yeah, you're right, Gail. Gail's a fellow Californian. We did vote to stay on daylight savings time all year, but yeah, it didn't actually happen. So I don't know what the hang up is, but yeah, we're still changing our clocks. Let's see.
I wish the whole country would just pick one or the others and just stick with it.
Yeah, Rick says, when my dad became sick and weak, I was begging him to start the heart attack diet, and he never listened. Yeah, my dad went on a statin because they told him to, right? Because his cholesterol was going up back in the 80s, and he was on it for 20 years because they told him to. He never got any of that under control by doing that. He got type 2 diabetes and Alzheimer's, and he passed away from Alzheimer's 3 years ago. And that was all before I hear that. This. Yeah, my mom, is, like I told you, is doing amazing. And it was 2 months after I went keto, she went keto, like right behind me. So that was, I'm very happy about that. And she's making improvements. Her arthritis in her hands is gone. She doesn't have, diabetes or anything like that, or she doesn't take any medications, but she's lost weight. She's exercising. She's doing great. So I wish I would have known about this, back then when my dad was getting all of his diagnoses, Gray Wolf Graphics, diabetes dang near killed my brother-in-law. He went into a coma a couple years ago and is now permanently blind. Yeah.
Wow. That's sad.
Can't imagine. Gail says, I'm always amazed when people say they love veggies. Really? People actually love veggies? I mean, there were a lot of them I kind of liked, but I'm happy to not eat veggies anymore. Yeah, Gail, if I was eating veggies and thinking I was enjoying the veggies, it sure was not the veggies. It was whatever, like butter and bacon and whatever I was putting on them.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like people, I don't miss veggies at all. Like even the times that I have slipped up and been off plan, I did not go off plan for veggies. Like I never ever went off plan and was like, you know what, I want some spinach and some kale and some
Let me
tomatoes and all that. I never went
see.
off plan for anything like that. When I went off plan, it was for stuff that I shouldn't talk about in this video. I
Right.
don't want to tempt everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't talk about it. Moving on. Okay. Elizabeth. I started to feel hopeless when my sister decided to try carnivore after seeing my results and tried to tell me it wasn't working. Come to find out, she was still having wine 2 to 3 times a week. Yeah. Wine will stall you, will slow you down, will not allow you to, really get into ketosis if you have too much of it. So I know people don't want, I've had people tell me, so there's the teacher that teaches in the classroom next door to me. She has MS, multiple other autoimmune things. She sees what I'm doing. She sees my energy, all of that. But she told me she just can't do it because she can't give up her chocolate. So it
Yep.
just,
Some
yeah.
people have their little thing or their little vice that they want to keep hanging on to. I know some people, even in the carnivore community, they'll do so well, but they'll find something that they're having an issue with, but they can't let that one thing go. Like it could be something like heavy cream, where heavy cream doesn't like some people do fine with it. Some people, if they have heavy cream, it really messes up their results and their plan, but then they still battle with it and still fight with it. And everybody's got their little battles and things that they struggle with, you know.
I feel like like we've said, nobody is perfect. I, for one, still drink coffee. So I'll just say that right now. I do put heavy cream in it, not a lot. I've reduced it a lot. But I'm feeling good. And I don't, I want, if, good for people that are quitting coffee. Let me just say that. If you're feeling better quitting coffee, good for you. If that's a goal, that you have, I know several carnivores that I know have taken that on recently. I don't have any plans to do that anytime soon. But if I start feeling like it's slowing me down, I might consider it. But I do heavy cream, but in small amounts. If I go too crazy with it, I will gain weight.
Do you do any seasonings or anything like that? Because I know I do, but some people don't do anything but salt.
So very rarely, mostly what I'll do, like I made a picanha today. We'll talk picanha in a minute. But I made a picanha today and I just I use butter and, my Redmond's. I eat like the smoked salt when I do the picanha. Usually it's just the Redmond's real salt, like on my chuck eyes and my rib eyes, or in my ground beef, or even in my eggs. It's just the Redmond's real salt. But every now and again, yes, I will. I do have like the Redmond seasoned salt, and I'll put that in there, or I'll, something like that. I'm not against it or anything. I enjoy my food fine just with the salt, but I'm not against the spices either. They don't bother me. I mean, I don't feel like my stomach hurts when I eat them or anything like that, like some people say.
Yeah, I think the seasonings is one thing that I might worry about that battle later on. Like the main battle that I'm trying to win right now is the carbs and the sugar cravings and things like that, because it keeps trying to roar back up. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, to me that's a bigger fight to focus on right now. And because if putting garlic powder and black pepper on my brisket keeps me eating the brisket, then I need to do that. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Instead of wanting to go eat other things. Now, of course, I'm not putting sugar on it and things like that like I used to, but and plus, be honest, like in my family, and well, not just in my family, in my whole community, everybody knows me as the barbecue guy. Even before carnivore, even before everything, everybody knows about my barbecue in this town. And so, um, and they know that the way that I make my briskets and all that stuff, and my briskets don't have any sugar in it. But like if I showed up and I brought a brisket to them and it just had salt, they'd be like, "Kip, that ain't your brisket."
It's not real brisket right there.
Yeah, they would be like, "That's not the way you make them," and I've always did it a certain way. So even I've tried to do just a brisket with salt, but for me, it's not the same. And I know if I do this for 5 years, it might eventually get to that point where I like it just as much with just salt. But for me, like that salt, pepper, garlic, I put a little cayenne in my brisket and stuff like that, and to me, that right there is it's just hard for me to give that up. Maybe that's my thing, and if that's the thing that keeps me being able to do it, I'll just have to just keep doing that for now.
Yeah, I think, spices are the least of anyone's problems.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're going standard American diet, the spices, I mean, while that might be a problem for some people, I don't think the main part of the problem. Like I said, I'm not, if I'm at my mom's house, she mostly cooks meat. Like I said, she's meat-based keto. If she's going to put some spices in there, I'm not going to, tell her, oh, I'm not going to eat that because there's garlic powder. Like it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't bother my stomach. It doesn't make me feel sick. It doesn't seem to slow my progress. I don't get brain fog back when I eat it.
Yeah.
I just don't prefer it anymore, I guess. Or I'm just not that I don't like it. I'm just fine with the salt, I guess, most of the time. But
Yeah, I can get by with it, and I can get by with it for a while, but I feel like after like a week or so, because I've experimented a little bit, I start to get really bored. I start getting to missing my flavors, like the different seasonings and stuff, because I have a pantry full of seasonings. Now I don't use any of the ones anymore that have like sugar or MSG or anything like that, and I've got it down to like mostly I make my own rubs, but if I do use store-bought rubs, I have like maybe 5 or 10 ones that I think are clean enough for me to buy them. But I don't know. It's just one of them things.
Yeah. So a couple people had some advice for you, take it or leave it, but about running. So CB Carmack says, I ran track and went through law enforcement academy. My number one recommendation for getting ready to run long distance is start out doing heel raises and walk on your toes.
Heel raises and walk on your toes. Okay.
That's probably going to build up your calf muscles. Yeah, I'm not a coach. I'm not a fitness professional. I'm just guessing. Let me know if that's right.
But I think I was watching a video because I was watching some videos on running when I first started like sprinting just a little bit. I think when you land, you want to land more in the center. Like I don't think you want to. What is it? One's like toe strike, heel strike, or something. I think you don't want to do either. I think because I don't know. I think you're supposed to be more in the midfoot or something whenever you land. I believe.
Oh, I got to go look that up. I just started sprinting. I didn't look up how to do it.
I don't think you're supposed to. You probably can walk on your toes because it's not as much like jarring, but I don't think you're supposed to run on your toes because it's like, I think too much like force in a certain area.
To start building up I'm guessing it's to start building up your calves. That's what I would guess. And Promo Mike says, start with walking 100% of that distance first. I think he means like the 5K distance. And then introduce a few jogs every half mile or so. Eventually, you'll reduce the percentage of the 5K walked versus ran, and then you'll get there.
Awesome. Yeah, see, Mike, Mike needs to be a coach.
Yeah, right?
He needs to be a coach because, boy, he'll tear into you. He reminds me of Alabama's coach, Nick Saban, because he'll chew you out, boy.
Okay, so this is David. He's asking me a question. So how do you do your sprints? Do you do them in sets? And do you vary the time you do sprints? Give me an example of a sprint workout that you do. Okay, so this is what I do. I go out at dark 30. When I first started, I made a joke to Kipp. He was laughing. It's like roosters are crowing when I'm out there. But anyways, it doesn't have to be at that time, obviously. That's just when I do it. I feel like if I don't get it out of the way, like it's not going to happen later. After a day of teaching all day, I'm not going to go out and sprint. So I do it first thing in the morning. I do sets of sprints, anywhere between usually 6 to 8 sets. I do vary the time. So I vary from anywhere between 10 and 20 seconds per sprint. And that's because I heard Dr. Sean O'Mara say, like, don't just keep doing a 15-second sprint over and over. You want to vary it a little shorter, a little, farther. So I do that. The other thing is I don't just take off in a dead run because I am 48 years old. And if I take off in a dead run, I'm probably going to pull a muscle and it's not going to go well for me. So I start off a little bit slower and kind of ease my way up into my top speed. And then when I hit top speed, that is when I start timing for the 10 to 20 seconds. And then like today I did 8. Last time I sprinted a couple days ago, I did 6. So it just depends. So let me know if you have any more questions. That's what I do. It doesn't take me very long. I'm outside for maybe 10 or 15 minutes and then I come back and do whatever. Like today I pulled my weights back out. Oh my gosh. I haven't done those in a couple months. I did some biceps, some triceps, and some shoulders with my weights today. So that was a wake up call. I haven't done it.
For me, I don't do I don't think I'm ready to do the full speed stuff, and mainly because I still weigh a lot. And when you're running, the faster you run, the more force there is you're coming down on everything. And if I'm running full speed at close to 400 pounds, that's a lot of force coming down on my joints. Mm-hmm. So like I go from like a walk to like a lighter jog, and like nothing hurts. There's no pain. It's an easy motion. But I feel like, and I want to get to where I can run full blast. But I think right now, if I was out there shooting videos, running full blast, eventually, like y'all would see a video where, hey, I'm explaining it's some knee injury or something like that. So I don't want to do that.
No, because once you're injured, you're out. Like I said, I think it was my left quadricep, I think was repetitive. I think I didn't give my body enough rest in between, or I pushed it a little too hard. And I was out for a couple, 2-3 weeks, before I could get back into it. But Mike says, you got this, Kipp, one step at a time, literally. That's right. 100%,
that's right.
Mike. And then David says, for now, just do some spirited walks or short interval jogs. So you must have dogs, Kipp, because Lambs is asking, did you consider feeding your dogs raw meat?
Yeah, I have 2 golden retrievers. And see, the thing is, like, I get the raw meat thing, and I've did some research on it, and it does actually make animals live longer, or dogs are supposed to eat that way. But like, I'll be honest with y'all, I'm not. Plus, they're older, and we've already gave them the dog food all this time, so I'm not just switching tomorrow. But the thing is, like, I'm not going to give my dogs the best food before I can give myself ribeyes every meal. Like, because I haven't got to the point where I can afford ribeyes for myself every meal. And that's what I want to get to. I want to adjust my budget. I've been talking to my wife about next year, trying to shift things around in the budget and everything to where we can get it to where I can get more ribeyes in my budget. And so I'm wanting to work towards that. And if I started getting them raw food every meal, that cost alone would cut out the ribeyes in my budget. And I love my dogs. I love them dearly. But like, I feel like me is more important in this situation. So I'm trying my best right now to get to where I can fuel my body even better right now.
So I know my friend John at Carnivore Backwoods, he says he gets like chickens because they're cheap. And he grinds them up. Like he has a meat grinder and he grinds them up. And that's what he feeds his dogs. I will say I'm lazy though. I thought that's what you were going to say. I'm lazy. I have a cat. She's right here. You could probably see her. This is Pixel. I did stop feeding her the kibble because I was just like, I read the ingredients after hearing a little bit about that and went, holy cow, half of this stuff is vegetables. Like what? So, but I'm not going to be buying raw meat and grinding it up and cleaning out a meat grinder. I'm just not going to do it. So I love my cat, right? But I'm not going to do that. So I did switch her to like, it's a canned food, but like if it's tuna, the ingredients are tuna and fish broth, like end of ingredients. As opposed to like rice, some weird meal powder or whatever. I don't even know. I did a video. I read off the ingredients. It's disgusting. Peas. Like my cat doesn't eat peas. So
yeah. And another thing too, like you said, this goes along with what you brought up a good point. I work all day, and my wife, she's a stay-at-home mom. And so 90% of that, she would feel like, which I don't try to make her feel that way, but she would be like, let me take care of it. Let me do it. And because she knows that I'm out working during the day and stuff. So that would be just another thing added to her to have to make sure that she's doing and all that, where it's just so easy to just dump out some dog food for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that'd be adding something extra to her plate.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. I will say my cat she's got a lot more energy. If you ever watch any of my videos, she's involved in half of them. She used to not care. She would just not care what I was doing. She'd be sleeping somewhere. And now, yes, she's sleeping, but she's right here next to me. She and cats do sleep a lot. But yeah, she gets all up in my business. She wants to check out, what's going on. Half the time she leaps up on that bookshelf when I'm doing a live, stuff like that. She just has all this energy. So I know it's benefited her to switch foods. And she's still a little chunky, but she has lost a pound, which for a cat is pretty good, I think. So anyway, do you have any
She
other
looks
animals?
happy over there. Your cat does.
Oh yeah, she's happy as a clam. And I will tell you, so she used to not play. So my mom, because I do the lioness lifestyle, and I do know this is a male lion, okay, but I do the lioness lifestyle, and my mom found this lion at a garage sale, I think, and she got it for me. Well, half the time I come home and it's like on the floor because my cat has attacked it. She's grabbed it by the scruff and dragged it off somewhere. Yeah, she's the boss of him. But yeah, she'll do stuff like that, where she just never used to do anything. I mean, since being a kitten, she's about 6 years old, so about middle aged. But she stopped playing a long time ago when she got fat and middle aged, like a lot of us. Hey.
Yeah, I've never been a cat person, and the main reason that I've never been a like if I go to people's house and they have cats, I'll pet them and play with them and stuff. The only reason it is for me that I've never been a cat person is because when I pick them up, they feel like a slinky, and it feels weird. It feels like they're gonna break, and like then I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna hurt them, and then they're gonna get mad and like attack me. So I'm just like I can't do it.
Yeah, they might. I mean, she attacks me sometimes, so you're not wrong. But I will say I've never been a dog person, and I don't know why. I never had like a traumatic dog story or anything, but I've always just been like a little bit afraid of them. I don't know why. I know
Yeah,
you're laughing at me. It's okay.
and the most vicious dogs are the little ones. The
Yeah,
little, them little chihuahuas, they will tear you up. Them little ankle biters.
Okay, so David is frustrated. I'm
He might be
sorry.
looking at the wrong name because in like if you go to somewhere like a Costco or somewhere, they call it I think it's top sirloin cap, I believe, or it'll say like something sirloin cap or something like that. You just have to know what picanha looks like to know the cut because it's 9 times out of 10 it's not going to say picanha on it unless your butcher just happens to say that. But a lot of times it won't say picanha on the
Yeah, he
pack.
said he's asked for the US name. I feel so bad, David, because picanha is so delicious. I didn't want to leave this this live stream without talking to you about picanha. So picanha is like my favorite thing. And I like it at least as much and sometimes better than a ribeye, I would say. Do you eat picanha? I think
I love picanha.
I thought so. I think you were like, I like this chick. She said picanha.
Yeah, picanha is my jam. Like that stuff is good. Like you can cook it multiple ways. Sometimes I like to slice it up. You have to know how to slice it a certain way to where it'll be tender whenever you cut into it to take a bite. Because if you
Okay.
cut it the wrong way, it's going to be tough. Every bite's going to be tough. If you cut it the right way, it'll be good. So you can watch videos on that. But I like to grill it sometimes, but I'll slice it into little steaks and then grill it. Like you can put it on skewers if you want to, and
Ooh.
make it kind of like they do at the Brazilian steakhouse. And
Mm-hmm.
even though a lot of times I put a lot of seasonings on things, picanha is one of them things where it really does better with just salt. Like,
Yeah.
or maybe some butter and salt, but it's just one of them cuts that does so well with just salt sprinkled on it.
Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes I like to cook the whole thing and then sear it at the end and then just slice it kind of like you're slicing a prime rib.
So
Like you do
so
it either
you
way.
like reverse sear, like a reverse sear. So I do the opposite. So I put mine at like 500 degrees for like 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how many pounds it is. And then I turn the oven off and just let it ride for a couple hours. And it gets this like crust on the outside. And then the inside is always like perfect medium rare to rare. It's so good.
Well, if you're using an oven, that technique is fine. But
Oh, I
see,
have.
I'm coming from the barbecue side of things, and when you're using a smoker, this might sound all technical, but when you're cooking meat outside, you get most of your smoke flavor at the beginning part of the cook
Got
because when
it.
your meat's at a lower temperature, it absorbs the smoke better. And so, because once it hits like over 100 and something degrees, it doesn't take on as much smoke flavor. So that's why you want to cook it slow at first because it will have more time to pick up the smoke. But if you just start blasting it on the grill really fast, then it won't have that much time to absorb as much smoke flavor. And then if you try to finish it at the end, you wouldn't get as good of a product as if you go slow and then let it build up a lot of good smoke flavor and then sear it at the end. But if you're using an oven, it really don't matter. You can do it either way because you're not going to get smoke flavor anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I do use the smoked salt. I don't have a smoker. I do use the smoked salt, which gives it a little touch of that flavor. And then the butter, it's so good every time. Yes, Mike, you got to go try it. I'm sorry you haven't been able to find it, David. I don't know why not. My mom was able to ask for it at the butcher counter. And they knew right what she was talking about. And they cut her, I think she bought 4 that day. She just bought a bunch of them and froze them. Yeah.
Mike might have to just eventually break down and order some online. There's some pretty good meat companies online that have stuff. You're going to spend a little bit more money because of shipping, shipping costs to ship meat. They have to put it in dry freezer bags and things like that. But like, there's some good companies. I ain't naming none right here, but there's some good companies that have like the picanha and like if you like beef dino ribs, that's like my favorite cut of meat in barbecue. Like hanger steaks, Denver steaks, stuff that you don't normally get at your normal like grocery store. There are some awesome cuts of beef out there that people pass up on that you can get when you order online.
Ooh, that's good to know. Yeah, Deb Olson is cooking a sirloin tip roast for tonight's dinner. Yes, I'm right there with you. And semi-retired Bob is saying give him a call because he says, give me a call, Kip. My sister is a running coach who did Boston the first time when she was 57. So you
That's
might,
awesome right there. So she's got some pointers.
yeah, some tips.
Yeah, I need to get up with Bob.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking to see if there's any more questions. You guys have been so awesome commenting in the chat. Going through. Oh, so Mike always makes a joke about Chaka Picanha. Mike, I think it's Para Bailar Picanha. I think that's really the song. Mike
If
sings.
you're really into picanha, you've probably watched Guga on YouTube, haven't you? Have you watched Guga?
No, no.
Okay, when you get some free time, you need to just go on YouTube and Google or not Google, but go on YouTube and search Guga Guga. And he's got millions of subscribers now, I think. He's like big time, but nobody cooks picanha like Guga does. Like, and he does it multiple different ways, and he does different experiments cooking it different ways. But like, he can show you some pointers on how to do picanha right because that's his favorite cut. Period is picanha. He does other stuff too, like the Japanese wagyu and all the different cuts, the Denver steaks and all that stuff. But picanha is his thing.
That's awesome. I'd never heard of it at all until I started Carnivore. And then somebody talked about, I forget who, but at the Brazilian steakhouse, I'm like, what? They have it at my Walmart. So I'm like, I'm going to buy this thing. And yeah, I buy one every week now. It's so good.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so I don't know if you guys saw this, but yes, on my last episode of Linus Lifestyle, it was Courtney Luna, David. Yes, we had her on the show. She is writing a cookbook. That's nice of you. I don't know if she would want to be a regular. We are talking about doing some more collaborations, she and I, but she is writing a cookbook. So she's very busy. She has a deadline in January, but yeah, look for her more after that because I told her I would contact her then for sure. And then somebody said I lost it because everyone's flying in the chat. Eating, I've heard of this before. Oh yeah, right here. Did anyone see the video of her eating pork rinds and heavy whipping cream like cereal? That was hilarious. Somebody else told me about that. I didn't see her doing that. Have you heard of this, Kip? Because this is the second time I've heard of this. pork rinds and like some kind of heavy whipping cream or some kind of dairy, like it's cereal.
I haven't heard of it, but I could see Courtney doing something like that. So I think it's a funny idea. But I do know one thing: if I did that, and I'm not scared to do it because I like the taste of heavy whipping cream and I like pork rinds. But if I did that and I stepped on the scale the next day, I'd be up 2 or 3 pounds.
Yes. So I am not opposed to a pork rind. I stopped buying them whole and eating them like a snack because it doesn't take many for me to see that scale go up. Now I use the pork rind crumbs in like recipes, like if I'm making a meatloaf, for example. Because I got real sick of ground beef, just ground beef in a bowl, which I used to love, just ground beef in a bowl with with an over easy egg. I used to love that. And then all of a sudden I just got real sick of it. But if I make some kind of meatloaf thing, I've been enjoying that. So I do use them that way. But if I just grab a bag of pork rinds, and snack on that, even if I monitor how much I'm eating, which I don't like to have to monitor how much I'm eating for one thing.
You shouldn't have to. Like
Right.
you really, if you're eating the proper human diet for long enough, you shouldn't have to monitor what you eat because no other animal in the world monitors how much food they're eating. It's because the when you're eating the wrong things, that's whenever people have to monitor because they're eating too much of the wrong thing.
Yeah. And so my body, if I eat too many pork rinds, I'm going to see it on the scale. And Gail, this cracked me up. Maybe I'll write a cookbook. I'll call it, I don't do dairy. Follow me for more sadness. Oh my gosh, Gail, I'm so sorry. I still do dairy, but very sparingly, but I'm not sad about it. Like it's weird. Like I would have thought when I was doing keto, I would have said there's no way that I could do like without cream cheese or something. And like I said, I still have a little heavy whipping cream. I will still have a little cream cheese from time to time. I don't know how many of you out there count butter as dairy. I do a ton of butter. But otherwise, I don't really do a lot of cheese anymore. But I'm not sad about it because what I want is a good ribeye, or right now it's not on sale, so chuck eye. Okay, Kipp, we've been at this over an hour, but I have one more question for you, and here's what it is.
Bring it.
Okay. And keep in mind, I don't have a smoker or a barbecue. I'm sorry. Okay. So ribeye steaks have not been on sale. They go on sale here in the summer, like during barbecue season. That's when I can get them cheap. But what did go on sale was like the ribeye roast, like with the bones in them. So I bought like 4 of them because one store had them limit of 2 for like $5.77 a pound. And the other store had them for $6.99 a pound. So I have like these 4. I froze them, but I've never cooked one before. Can you help me?
It's basically okay. So that's basically prime rib, and
Okay.
it's a standing rib roast is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But it's basically prime rib, and if you cut it up, it's basically ribeyes because it's the same thing as a ribeye. Like if you cut it, you can cut it in between the bones, or like there if you just don't like meat on the bone, period. You can run your knife by lay it down and run your knife by the edge of that bone and cut that little whole area off of it. And then you can cut it into ribeyes easily because there's no bone to get in your way. But
Okay.
if you're going to do it like if you're wanting to cook it whole, like first, do you like prime rib?
Yes, I love prime rib. I looked at it to try to slice it into steaks, and it was a puzzle. I'm like, I don't know. These bones, I can't even find a straight. I don't know what I'm doing. So
That's why you would have to lay it down and look at where the bones are, and just you don't go by sight, you go by feel. You'll feel you can honestly do it with your eyes closed.
That's what I didn't do. I'm like looking at it. I'm like, I don't even see a space for the knife to go. So I just gave up and put them in the freezer.
Yeah. In your situation, I would just cook it like a prime rib, cook it whole. And go slow. Like I normally do my prime ribs in the smoker at like 250, sometimes 275. And then when they get close to the end, sometimes I'll put a sear on them. But I've also been experimenting with just cooking them at a higher temperature the whole time, and they still turn out fine. But now you'll see people that do them in their ovens at like 450 degrees, 500 degrees, and they'll let it go in the oven for a little while at that temperature to get a really good crust on it, and then they'll turn their oven off and just let it set in there. But you're just wanting to make sure at the end of the day you get a good internal temperature. Like I take mine to like 125, 127,
Okay.
and then it's gonna continue to rise just a little bit more when it comes off. And it depends on how rare you like it. If you want a rare, take it to 120 and let it just come off of there. And when it gets done resting, it'll be perfectly rare. But if you want more, let it go a little farther. Don't overthink it. It's beef and it's a good cut of beef. It's gonna be good. Just have fun with it.
Awesome. And I know I said that was the last one, but One Hope for All put this up here, and then she said that they said that they put it on your channel too. So I didn't want you to miss this. They feel like it's important. So Kipp, do you know your muscle type? I have fast twitch. I have to run up the stairs to get my third floor condo. With slow twitch, you'd have better endurance, so you're better off walking long distance.
I haven't even looked that up. I don't know. Like I don't know at all. Do you know yours?
No, I was going to say, I thought everyone had slow twitch and fast twitch. And I just thought different exercises use different twitches. like
Well, I don't know nothing about this Twitch stuff. I, like, I don't know anything about. All I know is I have fat that I'm trying to lose, and there's some muscle under there because
yeah.
you have to have muscle to tote that much weight around. So I have muscle under there, but I don't know what type it is.
Okay, yeah, same. I don't even know how you find that out. So maybe I'm gonna go Google that later. Maybe Dr. Google can tell me. I don't know. Well, Kipp, this has been amazing. I hope that you will come back at some point in the future. I really enjoyed my time with you today. Thanks for agreeing to come on my little channel here and have a chat this afternoon, and just interacting with me. Thank you.
Well, absolutely. Look, thank you for having me on, and definitely give me an invitation whenever you get the chance. And I'd love to be back on here to chat with you again. And to all of my people that are watching, if y'all would take a moment and subscribe to her channel, it's Christy at Meeting Wellness. You can just search at Meeting Wellness, right, to find your channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all go subscribe to her channel. I can't remember if I linked it in mine, but if I didn't, just search at Meeting Wellness and you should be able to find her on YouTube. And thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much for the shout out too. All right, everybody, thanks for being here in the chat with us today too. We had a good time chatting, interacting with you guys as well. Everyone have a great afternoon.
Take care. Bye.